There is an issue with the right wing trying to rewrite history. I mean, we've seen it in this country a few times, particularly with the Conservatives, who are trying in vain to put the notion across that they started the NHS. I mean, we saw that a few years ago. It didn't really stick, but I've no doubt there will be some people who believe it. And we see it a lot from the US. And the reason, again, as I've said probably 100 times before, I pay attention to US politics is because they're a little bit ahead of us in terms of practically everything. I mean, again, Boris Johnson will not free Nazim Radcliffe because he's waiting to see if Donald Trump, the pathetic little, trying my best not to swear, but the little bitch has an issue with Iran. So Boris Johnson, who's responsible for Nazim Radcliffe being in prison, won't lift a finger to get her out of prison despite him being Prime Minister and it being his fault, because he's waiting to see if the orange turd will win. And then of course you have the corruption and everything else. But getting back to the point of this video with trying to rewrite history. Now we saw it before with Brooke Turner. Brooke Turner was a white kid who was his history was tried to be rewritten by the right wing as someone who went to prison because he defended his sister against an evil Muslim who was going to rape her. The reality is that Turner raped an unconscious girl at a party. That's why he went to prison. He raped an unconscious girl at a party. Served half of his incredibly short sentence because the judge didn't want it to ruin his life. I mean, she, the victim, she was bullied to the point so badly her entire family had to leave the area completely. He essentially got a slap on the wrist. And the right wing trying to rewrite his history. And recently, in the last few days, I've seen images and short little video snaps, 2-second video snaps, of the 17-year-old, won't repeat his name for a couple of reasons, but the 17-year-old who's, it looks like he's being attacked, and so he's acting in self-defense. The problem is with these images, this is already after he shot 2 people. This is after he shot someone in the head. So this is after he's committed murder twice. And the group's trying to get the gun from him. And in this doctored image that I keep seeing being spread around, you do see a gun pop out of nowhere in one of the alleged attackers' hands. Now, you'd never guess from how I present my videos on this channel or indeed my other channel, but I am a video editor. Now, I don't do it for my own stuff because it's time consuming. The video I put up yesterday with this background took 35 to 40 minutes to export, and that's a long time. In the early days I just used to record this all on my phone and upload it straight from my phone, sort out the details later. But this takes time. But I do it for companies that I work with, so I know a fair bit about video editing. And there was something that just wasn't right. The light wasn't hitting things right. It just wasn't right. So I took that image, I downloaded it. First and foremost, I went through it on my phone, frame by frame. The gun just pops out of nowhere. And when I was talking to the person in the Facebook group who posted it, because I don't think it was posted maliciously. I think it was made maliciously, but I don't think it was shared maliciously. I think he just got tricked, which is something that the right wing's very good at doing. When I was talking to him, he said, well, he clearly just pulls it from underneath his shirt. Okay, benefit of the doubt. I mean, this is after the kid has murdered 2 people, but... So then I got it onto my laptop, and I went down frame by frame by frame by millisecond by millisecond by millisecond. The third person who the 17-year-old shot with an assault rifle that he's too young to legally own, who also travelled across 2 state lines to get himself into that position to murder people. The guy standing did not have a gun. That gun was not being pulled from a shirt, it was not being pulled from a waistband or anything like that. The gun was doctored into the clip. So again, the right wing is trying to rewrite what we've seen happening before us. And there's a couple of reasons for it. Mostly it's to, again, control the narrative, but also to muddy the waters. Let's not forget, just a few days prior to this, a man was shot in the back several times. Hopefully he will live, but it's not a guarantee. He was shot in the back by his children, in front of his children by a police officer. And people can say all day long, oh, he was definitely going for a knife. Okay. Let's say he was absolutely going for a knife. I've seen the footage. Him going for a knife means he was unarmed. The police officer was close enough to restrain him. And there is no doubt in my mind, if that had been in the UK, the officers would have restrained him. So it comes down to one of two factors. The officer who shot this man in the back is either a coward and is not fit to be a police officer because they're too much of a fucking pussy, or they just really wanted to shoot someone. In which case, they do not deserve to be a police officer. But this is just one story that we get reports on when there are thousands that we don't. And it's not always black people who are the center of this. Breonna Taylor was murdered because police officers lied to get an arrest warrant, to get a no-knock warrant, and then they murdered her for no reason. She was an innocent bystander. But it's not just people who are black who are being murdered by the police officers. But as it was so brilliantly put out in a video somewhere else, when you say on your anniversary to your partner, I love you and I love everyone else, it doesn't really work. You focus on what's in front of you. There have been white kids who have been murdered by police officers, and it is absolutely fucking disgusting. The problem there comes with the training that the police officers get, or at least that's my opinion. When you see video footages of how American police officers act in those situations when it all goes wrong and they end up murdering someone, as opposed to the footage we see in the UK where police slowly surround someone and then take them down. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen in the UK, of course it does, but the training is better here. That's why these protests are taking place. But again, the right wing comes in, muddies the water, because at the end of the day, they just love fascism. That's their go-to. And as a side little note, there's two reasons why I have not named this kid. Everyone knows his name, but there's two reasons why I haven't done it. First and foremost, he's 17. That's an issue. Now, him being 17 means he's just too young. He's still a dumb kid. He's a dumb kid who's committed murder, and he needs to face consequences for that. It's very likely that he'll get away with it, but there needs to be justice. But the second reason is the fact that he crossed state lines with an assault rifle that he was too young to use means, in my opinion, he was being groomed for this. So this kid who murdered people was failed by his own family. That's an issue unto itself. But again, this ties into the right wing trying to rewrite history. You can't fix a problem by pretending it doesn't exist. You can't address an issue by rewriting what the cause was. It just doesn't work that way.